Let's go for a record, Nation. Let's review Throwdown's new album and the shortest album review that coverkillernation has ever done. Yeah. Throwdown originally started off as a hardcore band, or at least a band that had more hardcore influence than it did metallic influence. That's something that has shifted over the course of the past couple of albums, with some people starting to compare them to bands such as Pantera, Godsmack, and Mudvayne with their last album. With Intolerance, it's a little bit of a different game, whereas their previous album had songs that eclipsed the 5-minute mark. There's basically only 2 songs on this 11-track affair that eclipse the 3-minute mark, and one of them is right there at it. That's right, 9 of the 11 tracks on this album don't even make it close to the 3-minute mark, or some of them, make it close. It's from the 2-minute to 3-minute range, which means that this is 11 tracks at 28 minutes. This is an album that actually could be easily defined as a groove record. I can definitely understand why a lot of people see references to Pantera, but I'm also seeing a lot of references on this album to another band that has kind of just been making albums in the same style over and over again over the course of the past 10 to 15 years, and that band happens to be Hatebreed. Each of these songs is very anthemic. It's very much dominated by pretty simplistic guitar riffs. Nothing all that crazy is going on here. We don't really have the presence of that many solos, if anything like that. Really creatively, this is something that's very monochrome. It doesn't have a lot of character to it. This is instead an album that basically is 100% focused on every song sounding as anthemic as possible, giving it that nice message of fighting for what you believe in and basically rising above any sort of pain or suffering that's in your life, basically using it as a motivation. I know that I'm using the word basically a lot, but that's essentially the only thing that could be alluded to from this album. It's the only thing that you can really infer from this album. It's the only context clues that are really offered. This is something that is very wham, bam, thank you, sir, or ma'am. This is something that does really come and by very, very quickly. This is not an album that stays its welcome. It doesn't overstay its welcome. In fact, if anything, it pops its head in the door, it screams what it wants, and then it leaves. And because of that, it is kind of weak. The lacking of any sort of stylistic differential is definitely a huge negative. However, with this style of music and with this band, that's something that has been going on for quite some time. If anything, they shift up their style from album to album as opposed to within the album. And that is something that I find to be a bit problematic. If you're a fan of bands like Hatebreed, if you like anthemic songs, if you like things that are going to make you want to beat the shit out of somebody, or if you enjoy MMA, you're probably going to dig this a lot, which means that this is going to have a lot of people's numbers right there on its sleeve. However, if you're somebody that whenever you listen to music, you need something that's a little bit different on every track, if you need a little bit of stylistic shift, if you need something that actually paints the picture as this not being just a one-sided, very monochrome, very gray affair, then this album is not going to be for you. Overall, I do have to praise the fact that this is a band that is willing to really stick with the sound and stay with it. I think that they go a little bit overboard with that. I'm also very pleased that this is an album that, since the 11 tracks only reached about 28 minutes, didn't opt to write another 11 tracks and make this a 22-song massive affair of just sheer boredom. It is something that goes very quickly, so because of that, it is an experience that is over very quickly. Overall, I'd have to give the album a 65 out of 100. This is an album that really is going to cater to certain people, and that might be a slight majority in this metal, this metal existence that we have right now. This is something that's going to be a lot more for the fans that also will enjoy, rap music or other things like that, that basically are casual metal fans as opposed to hardcore veterans. And the hardcore people may actually come back for this album because it does kind of cater a little bit more to their style also. Overall, I can understand why people compare these guys to Pantera. I really don't get the Godsmack. I really don't get the Mudvayne. I do, however, get the Hatebreed. So, do you like Throwdown? Do you think I just went overboard and pissed you off? Should I say come at me? Should I challenge you to a steel cage match? What the fuck should I do? Tell me in the comments. I think we broke the record.